Good morning. So I thought I'd actually pop in today. Whether this video gets shared, we shall see. I've been recording a few videos, and literally as I record them, either my energy has changed just by talking things out, which feels quite relevant, or collectively the energy has changed, which is one and the same. Our energy is mirrored back to us. Okay, so a lot of the time, all it takes is to talk out our feelings, to feel them and actually do something with them, rather than hold them in, rather than try and block them, rather than judge them. And yesterday I did do a video, no, the day before I did a video, and I was going to share it, and it was all about change, and it just didn't feel quite ready. I didn't feel quite ready, and that's okay. That's okay. There is no point trying to force change until we are ready, until we feel able and empowered, because otherwise it will just come from the same energy. So today I did actually move on to the wheel in the tarot, and I'll show you it because ironically it's called change. I kind of didn't want to this morning. I woke up for the first time in the last 6-7 days feeling a bit better. I haven't felt great. It doesn't feel like it's coronavirus related. It feels like it's energetic more than anything. And the way that I know that is because it feels like something is occurring, but not to me, around me. And I'm almost getting like an aroma of it energetically. Almost like experiencing a pain but taking painkillers for it. So you're aware of it, but it isn't quite inside of you. It's not as raw as what it would be if it was yours. My computer's just going off. So let me just turn that off for a second. Which again feels relevant, turning the computer off for a second. So yesterday, the guidance for myself was to go deep within, to slow right down. Now, I am blessed to live at quite a laid back vibration anyway, and I've learned that the hard way. I've learned that through change. I've learned that through going through my own version of what we're going through collectively a few years back. So being asked to slow down even more kind of got my goat yesterday, because I am so in the moment. I like to think I'm quite present and in the moment. And isn't that funny, our views of ourselves, how skew if they can get, because there's always deeper energy. We can always become more present. We can always grow. That's what I'm hearing. We can always grow. And that happens by becoming present, by feeling what we are feeling without fixing it, without sharing it, without hoping other people will change it for us, just holding space for that. So I'll give you a few examples. Yesterday, for me, going deep within, yes, I faced a lot of my shadows, and they were my shadows. They were fear, regret, sadness, boredom, impatience, all of these emotions, all of these layers to me. And each time I would go in and I would go through the process and eventually walk the wheel of it and release it. And when I did, there would be tears. This is what I do from a compassionate perspective. Those that have had healings with me or possibly readings know that I track in my body and I release. That's either through burping or yawning or sneezing or crying. It isn't that I'm sad. It is, just a release of water, of flow. So when we think of our human body, what we forget often is that it too is the medicine wheel. We breathe into the unknown. We receive clarity in our body through the relaxation and the biochemical responses. We then heal and release. So we live and die with each breath. It is a turn of the wheel. And we forget that sometimes. So when I cry, what I'm actually doing is releasing. And I posted this on Facebook, the amount of tears that I had for lots of things, beauty, sadness, all of it, spirit, the amount of tears that I felt for what was going on. And I forget sometimes, like us all, that how one person perceives something is completely different to another. So when I say I am crying, beautifully, many people contacted me to ask if I was okay, because crying isn't the norm, which is a whole other story in itself. What I'm getting at here is, when we share, to be aware of the emotions that we are sharing, to be aware of the posts that we are sharing, where they come from, our own triggers, our own shadows, our own journey with them, and own them. So this morning I actually shared a post of this, exactly this, speaking about how tears for me were a release, and owning that side in front of people. So from now on, when I cry or state that I've been crying, hopefully people will think, Kirsty's having a good day, or a normal day for Kirsty. What I did see yesterday were several posts being shared that were personal, but not acknowledged as such. And for me, that's the underlying message today. In order to change, we acknowledge what it is that needs to be changed. And that could be us on a personal level, just by going in and looking at these energies that we feel. Sharing responsibly. Now, that doesn't mean not sharing. That was the other side that I nearly did yesterday. Having seen so many things on Facebook, I nearly never shared something yesterday which was quite paramount and important. We had the glorious cheering for the frontline workers at 8 o'clock, which was just beautiful. And even now, I will start, and it will be a release of beauty. The compassion there moved me, really moved me. But what I actually saw on a lot of the videos were people stood close together. Lots of people stood close together cheering. That risks infection. And it would have been devastating for these people to end up poorly, to spread an infection from something that came from a place of beauty. And I nearly never shared about that, because I'd almost got lost in, is that just my opinion? All of it is our opinion. All of it is our own perspective. Once we acknowledge that, we can then share freely and own that. So yesterday, yes, I did share about the NHS cheering and the frontline cheering. And it became quite valuable for several people, because people hadn't thought of it like that. What I'm getting at here is, if we are going to share, if we are going to be part of the cog of the change that we are asking, look at what it is we are sharing, look at where it comes from, face our own energy within that also, and make it a constructive share. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be positive. It doesn't mean it can't be negative. There, in the wheel, there is neither nor. It is all part of the one change, but just acknowledging, right now I am feeling this, this, and this. Because then we truly empower others to share. Yes, I too feel this, this, and this. Once we are okay with what we feel, we can share, and the change can begin. And it just flows naturally. So is there anything else? This morning I woke up and it felt like the energy had shifted quite quickly. And as I mentioned, I wasn't particularly keen on stepping into that. I quite liked going within and feeling what I was feeling and just embracing it. And the next step then is to take it a stage further and, yeah, I guess share that out with others, which is what this video is all about. Is there anything else? The change can be as quick as we want it to be once we realise our position and where we are sat. So for argument's sake, I have been praying for, well, as long as I can remember, for any deaths related to the coronavirus to stop. And all I kept receiving was, there are no deaths related to the coronavirus. Really, really, really perplexed. So I took a step back and saw it from a different level of the wheel. And I'll go over that in a moment. But it was my husband that actually said to me, totally detached from an observed point of view, rather than caught up in the trying to fix like I was, totally detached. But they're not dying from corona, they're dying from pneumonia. Of course. So now my prayers include healing sent to all those with pneumonia. Yeah, so it's about fine-tuning where our energy is going now. And we can only do that if we experience the whole wheel. So if we experience what we feel, really look at it as our feelings before we then share it from others. If we really extract the essence of that lesson before we share it to others. When you are walking the medicine wheel, for argument's sake, if something is happening on a physical level, that would be from the level of the serpent or the south. What is going on now? In order to balance that, to change that, to rectify that, we don't look at that from the same energy. So we don't look to solve a physical problem from a physical energy. We go to the next stage up, which on the wheel I work with would be Otorongo or Jaguar. So we look at it from a mind perspective. And if that doesn't work, we then go to the next stage up and we look at it from a karmic or a family or our journey perspective. And eventually we go round to the eagle, which is the higher perspective, so that we can see all angles of this. And that's where we truly start to change things. Einstein, I think it was, once said that you cannot change something with the same energy. The medicine wheel is based on that exactly. So when we react from a place of fear, we are going to provide fear. Yeah, so it's about really looking at where we are reacting from, where we are sharing from, almost like what infection are we passing forward? Is it a dis-ease? Is it balanced? Is it healthy? Really fine-tuning what it is we are directing forward. That's how we change. That's how we break the machine. Okay? So what I'm going to do is quickly do a wheel for us collectively. I don't know. No, I'll hold them up to the screen when I've done it. And remember, you are the wheel. So go through these processes. Give yourself the honour and the space to go through what you're feeling. I'm particularly feeling at 6 o'clock every night, out of the blue, I feel quite poorly, quite fluey, cold-like. And it wasn't until yesterday that it started to click what this could actually be. It was exactly the same time as the news. Now, I'm not saying don't listen to the news. I'm not saying listen to the news. I'm saying do what is right for you. Be aware of how it triggers you. Go through that process and give yourself the medicine you need. So for argument's sake, for me, the news is a no-go. Energetically, I still feel it, obviously, because I felt a huge surge of fear at 6 o'clock, and I have been most evenings. Feeling that, acknowledging what it was, going outside, crying tears from fear. It's okay to feel frightened. From fear and releasing them, I could then hear the birds sing and came back into the present moment. The more present we are, the more we will feel. There is a reason for centuries we have avoided being present. Feeling can be hard, but cliche as it sounds, to heal, we feel. Going into that, knowing you are strong enough to hold space for everything that you are feeling. Feel it and then release it. Otherwise it remains unknown, and when something is unknown, when you don't acknowledge when something is your energy or your emotion, it becomes quite powerful. It becomes almost an energy of its own. But when you can look at your own part in that, the lessons that it has to bring, you can then release it. And that's how we work the wheel. So, with that in mind, we should do a quick wheel. How can we aid ourselves to spin the wheel? And I'm going to do it quickly. So where we are right now, okay, the unknown, there, and that can go there. Okay, so smack bam in the middle, where we are right now, we have the 8 of Pentacles. We have ordinariness. For some people, that's wonderful. For people that have been working all the hours under the sun, the opportunity to take a moment to be in the garden and live a normal, ordinary life and enjoy their family is incredible. For others, that can be really hard work. So just embrace the changes that are occurring. Get yourself grounded, get yourself out in nature for your one exercise that you can, and keep that space. But see that everything is actually growing and changing around you and within you, because you are a reflection. Okay, so what I hear is really embracing what we would have considered normal or boring, really making the most of that. That's where a lot of us are now, and that's fantastic. That's causing a lot to bloom. So in the unknown, you have the 3 of Wands in the north, and it's this experiencing. How do we move forward? We move forward collectively by experiencing life. Normally, the 3 of Wands shows someone actually moving forward. But this card in particular, with the Osho Zen Tarot, shows someone just experiencing what it's like to be a tree, to be grounded and centered and grow. That's how we best navigate these unknown times at the moment. We experience them, all of them. The ups, the downs, the rounds, the blips, all of it is part of the experience, because straight underneath, if we go down to the south, which is where we are, and the healing that can come from this, the lesson to learn, we have going with the flow here. Yeah. And sometimes that is how it feels, submerged, absolutely submerged. I've had moments of great, I wouldn't even say it's fear, it's an energetic shift. And yeah, I can feel certain aspects just disappearing, the old just being released, and nothing I can do but go into it and just hold space for that. That's where the healing and the deep insights come from. So in the East, what is being brought to light here is an opportunity to flower. I think this is the Queen of Pentacles in the Osho Zen, but it really doesn't matter. What matters is how we do it. It doesn't matter how we flower. What matters is that we flower, that we bloom, that we grow, that we change from this. So change is going to be different for everybody. For some people that have had a busy life, change may encompass a more slower pace. For myself this morning, I have quite a relaxed pace, but my message this morning was to get up and get on with it. So that's going to change on a daily basis, and we flower by embracing the cycles within us. How do we do that? By going with the flow and experiencing what we're feeling. So in the West, the thing to let go of, the thing that almost needs to die in us, we have the mind. Now, the West, for me, and the path that I walk is, as I mentioned, is Otorongo, and to do with the ego and the mind. So perfectly placed here. But what do we have? The mind of a machine. You are more than a machine. You are so much more than your purpose, so much more than your job, so much more than the virus itself. It's about expanding your mind in the present moment and becoming aware of that. Becoming aware of knowing that even though you may feel you are an ordinary human, to be an ordinary person in an extraordinary world is incredible. Keeping it real, keeping it real. I see a lot of people that do a lot of energetic work and a lot of healing and a lot of practices that just almost need to come down a little bit and be applied to life. Yeah, and how do we do that? By experiencing life, by being that change that we're looking for, by going with the flow. Whatever is in our mind is in our mind. We are not a machine to our mind. We are not judged by our thoughts. They are thoughts. We are not loved any less because of them. They are thoughts. Sometimes when we detach from them, which is what we are taught in mindfulness, when we detach from them, they kind of grow on their own and become bigger than they were. So looking them deep in the face, they are a thought. Let them go. There is more to you than your thoughts. I think that's everything, to be honest. That's quite beautiful. Yeah, and then the two cards that we have left are the Master and the Seven of Pentacles. Patience. Master your own cycles. Feel your own rhythms. Go with your own flow. That's how we get health on a huge, multi-dimensional level. Not just with the world, but with ourselves. The world is a reflection of us and what we've been going through. Burnt out, stressed out. Yeah, it's all been out of balance. So it is going to change on a daily basis. Embrace that. Embrace what you feel. Be that change. Take care. Bye.